Okay, so today on MTV and vh1, they started a new series called True Crimes Unsolved. And the first episode was the Kenneka Jenkins case. When I say that you have to question the question, you really have to look at that case for what it is. Before I started doing videos, there's a content creator that I follow that is a true prophetess. For her age and for the things that she brings to the light, really opens your eyes. I do believe that Chicago is some type of testing zone. As a matter of fact, on the news the other night, they were doing something here in the city, and they did say that it was done in Chicago first to test it out. I've always believed that that was a psyop, that it was done as a distraction, and it was done for organ harvesting. The pieces just did not fit. I was so involved in that case because it happened right here. And Rosemont is a all-white suburb. They're very prejudiced out there. I've stayed at that hotel when I used to go overseas and the flight was early, and would take the shuttle from the hotel to O'Hare. And I just couldn't understand how they would have all those young kids and all the G's out there like that. That's an upscale hotel. And why all the film that was shown was a reenactment. It wasn't an actual film that was captured by the hotel. I was so involved that I was sending food out to the protesters, being in contact with some of the protesters, until I started realizing that the pieces to that puzzle just never, ever fit. And everything is being broadcast live. That it seemed like it was done on purpose. And when I say it was a distraction, it was a distraction. People were coming out the woodworks to go out to Rosemont to protest. And then who steps in but Jedediah Brown? I started watching how he was moving, watching a young guy up under him, Told you my family is very involved in politics. And a young guy up under him was going to run for the 7th Ward alderman seat. And some kind of way, when this event took place, he and Jedediah connected. In the end, it came out that this man has set up about 5 or 6 different GoFund accounts that the mother didn't know about, collecting money from people, starting up what he called the Justice League, which was supposed to go around the United States and protest for injustice. The main people involved, he was the president, and a young lady that was up under him, the vice president, ended up bumping heads. And she did a video exposing what he was doing with the money. And it's a whole lot of information that she put out there. I don't know if the video is still up or not. But if you have this case as your first episode, and the program that comes on before it is Catfish, what is the message? And then it's your first episode. It's on the Kenneka Jenkins and Chicago. What is getting ready to happen in Chicago that they are distracting us once again with this Kenneka Jenkins case? Yes, there are still platforms asking for justice for Kenneka Jenkins, but it has died down quite a bit. Now it's being stirred right back up again. This city is a very unique city. Very unique. It's very political. There's a lot of corruption. You have the Shriners Temple here. And a person that I followed brought out quite a bit of information until YouTube started fooling with her video. She's on the watch list with YouTube because of the information that she's putting out here. But something is about to happen in Chicago. They've already started taking those with vouchers and moving them to the far, far suburbs. I mean, so far out to where transportation ends on Friday at midnight and doesn't start back up until Monday at 6 o'clock in the morning. They already know your income. They're building complexes, very nice complexes, for them to move into. But it's out in the fields of Illinois, not in the city. They have sheriffs out there, not police officers. So they're moving low income Black and Latina out to these privatized complexes. They build a grocery store that's within walking distance. And if you cannot afford a car, you're stuck. Add on to, you're now under the rule of white sheriffs who have never dealt with black people. Do you know how many are going to be killed out in those suburbs? I saw this coming. I kept telling people it's going to become a killing field. If you have police officers in Chicago that respond to a domestic violence because the couple was drunk, and you have a young white police officer that has never been around black people too much and has never seen black people when they get drunk. So when he got on the scene and saw the screaming and hollering, again, alcohol was never meant for our system. It's called the devil's juice. It was never meant, our DNA was never meant for alcohol. But when he got out there and he saw this couple arguing back and forth and they're drunk, the first thing he did was pull his revolver and he shot both of them. Now they are making, you have no choice. They are making those with vouchers move to the far suburbs under the rule of sheriffs. And now you have this Kenneka Jenkins case being brought up all over again. This summer, they're reshaping this city. They're reshaping it. The taxes are so high now. The taxes went up to 11.75. There's taxes on soda. You have to buy your own bags. The price of food is high. That within the next 5 years, you're not going to see low income, any person of color living in this city. And they've also made it law that by October 2020, everyone has to have a one card. The one card will be your identification. It will serve as your passport, and it will allow you to enter a federal building. If you don't have that one card, you cannot enter a federal building. So you have to have it. I was telling people that it's going to come to a point that if you don't live in this city, you're going to have to show ID. You're going to have to tell them where you're going, how long you plan on being in the city, and you're going to have to be out of city limits. And this one card is holding all of your information, everything. The cameras that they have out now for security, they now have facial recognition. And these cameras are so small, they blend in with the trees. You wouldn't even notice them. They're the color of a tree bark. They're very, very small cameras. They took away the blue and white cameras and sold them to another state. So just like you can lock your phone with your face or your eyes, they now can zoom in on your face. But something is going to happen here because they're distracting us with this Kenneka Jenkins case all over again. It was never solved. The information that was allowed to be put out for this hour-long non-commercial was information that the state's attorney 99% of the time does not release to family members or to the public. But in this case, they allowed it to be released to the father. We've got to watch out for distractions. And we're being distracted very, very bad here in Chicago. They have advertisement for crisis actors. And why would they use Chicago as a testing zone? Yes, we need to be aware if a crisis happens, how we should respond. But when you take it one step further and make the people believe that it actually happened, the way that it happened, it's the biggest distraction that you can have. So for those that watched the documentary, I've never seen this before in my life, but it was shown after Catfish, and we all know what Catfish is about. And it was shown without commercials. If you happen to run across the person that I follow, her live was interrupted so bad. The audio kept going out. It was just a mess. She couldn't even finish her live. But you got to be aware of what's going on. You got to always question the question. Why do we have to have a one card that holds all of our information? Why is the military telling the soldiers, do not take DNA tests? Because it will be a weapon that can be used against the military. So all soldiers are being told to not take DNA tests. So I'm just doing this video to make you think. To make you think. To be aware of what's going on. And I know a couple of you all saw when all of the Army and the military all rode in tanks down the highways, not only here in Chicago, but they lined up in Indiana, and then they hit the Dan Ryan. Question the question, the question, and always be prepared.